going Facebook Live. So we are live on Facebook as well. So welcoming everyone. Very good afternoon. I hope you are safe, healthy, happy. So I would like to start this Vikalp Vārtā number 12 with initially few requests. I would say I'll request every one of you to be on mute. And you can turn on your video for a while, but when we start the main conversation with Vikan, I'll request you to keep your videos also off because it will save the bandwidth. With that, I am sharing my screen about to introduce you a little bit about what we are doing with Vikalp Vārtās and little introduction about it. Okay, I hope all of you can see my screen. Is it visible?
Yes, yes,
yes. Great. Okay, so as I said earlier, welcoming again for this 12th Vikalp Vārtā. So this is the 12th Vikalp Vārtā. Before this, we have had 11 such Vikalp Vārtās from. Yeah.
Sorry. It's a great box coming on the screen.
Oh.
You want to share screen again?
Just let me try.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you see?
Yes.
Okay. But you'll be getting the gray box again. Anyway, there's some issue. So as I was saying, this is a 12th Vikalp Vārtā. We've had 11 such Vikalp Vārtās before this by various groups, various individuals, organizations working towards certain alternatives. I'll get to the Vikalp Vārtā of today in a little while. Before that, I'll just like to introduce Vikalp Sangam as a process. So Vikalp Sangam is a confluence of different alternatives across different spheres of life. As you can see, all the spheres of life that touches us. Vikalp Sangam is a confluence of such initiatives, such transformative work, which brings together all these new initiatives. Vikalp Sangam, we have had 20 such physical conferences in the past, varying across different domains like economics, governance, agriculture, all these things, and across different areas, regions in the country. The idea till now has had been to bring people together, specifically focusing on to certain sector, and then help them collaborate with each other, help them learn from each other, and then take their work forward. So as you like, there's also a website of Vikalp Sangam which hosts almost 1500 plus of articles, stories, hopes. You can visit this website. The website address is written vikalpsangam.org. Right. So now coming to today's Vikalp Vārtā. So today's Vikalp Vārtā is by Decane Bhai on Jail University. Jail University is a wonderful initiative by Swaraj, Shikshantar from Udaipur ecosystem, and many more. Gandhi Ashram, Art of Living, I believe. So all these are organizations coming together, trying to create, trying to bring transformation, I could say, if I could use that word, or trying to make the lives of the inmates in one jail better. And it is essentially around like designing a self-designed learning for inmates and help them facilitate that for their interests, for whatever their needs are. Um yeah, so that is about Jail University. About Diken Bhai, he is a good friend, a mentor. He's currently based out of Ahmedabad. He's a seeker just like all of us, and we all get to keep learning from him always. So with that, I'll invite Diken Bhai to start sharing about himself and Jail University.
Thank you. Am I audible? Well?
Yes, you are.
Okay, perfect. So thank you, Vinay, and thank you for inviting me and opportunity for reconnecting myself through this Vārtā. And I'm really deeply grateful for all volunteers and all invisible hands who constantly, work hard in a back end to make it happen. But sometimes you are like seeing only visible, which is on your screen, but there are so many invisibles are there. So I'm deeply holding in my heart all of them. And my name is Vikalp, and I'm grateful for being alive. And when you being alive, there are so many possibilities are alive. And I like to share about this Oscar Wilde's a quote, like he shared about, like, if you know what you want to be, you inevitably you can be, but that's your punishment. And if you never know what you want to be, and then you can be anything, and then you're not really working yourself or operating yourself as a noun. Then you are working yourself as a verb, where you are not a thing, but you does a thing. So since my life, I have been trying different things, like from salesman to stockbroker to volunteer, or just simply I'm trying to be in journey of human being. And sometimes I feel like sometimes I keep questioning myself, like, oh, what is my role in this world, because I grew up with lots of stories, as Vikalp, the name mentioned, like रामायण में जैसे बोला था राम को कि तुम्हारा रोल ये है, ये रावण को मारना है. कृष्ण को बोला था कंस को मारना है. I just reflecting what is my role, and sometimes I find my role is as a fool, like who feels that who knows everything, and by simply giving away, and attempting to use the mind to reason something beyond reasons. And I'm also trying to attempt which is beyond reason, so whatever I'm going to share my own experiences and my own truth, and that is only my truth. It's not really truth. So if anyone don't take it so seriously about that, and I apologize if any of my word can hurt you. So I'm going to start about Swaraj Jail University. So it started, the name itself defines so many things. First is Swaraj and jail and university. So I start with a little bit of human evolution. Like in humanity, we have seen, like lots of ages, like agriculture age, industrial age, satellite age, now maybe in artificial intelligence age. But unfortunately, we never seen the human age. So I'm making fun, like sometimes I make fun, like Jail University is like a humble collective effort for moving towards the human age. And what is the core of the Jail University? Like, so why it needed? Like that question comes so many times. Like, and in human histories, unfortunately, all designs and systems has been created for conquering or accumulating resources. None of the system has been created for compassion. The root of the systems are not rooted in compassion. So whatever you will try, it's like a corrupt system. So the best way is to creating something alternative for that corrupted systems. And humbly we all try together to creating one of the alternative in a jail. Jail is one of the most one of the key place for destruction of humanity, along with this factory, schooling, army. And in the simplest way, I make a fun sometimes. In the simplest way, it's a place where we're making human being into human doings. So that's what the little brief about, like why it is really required. And so many people, like so many times we have seen, like someone did something wrong or out of this trying to be out of the box, society put them into a side. Society, banish them from the mind, from the heart, like they have to go through lots of, like a pain and suffering through their own like relatives, their loved ones. So we just trying to be creating a more safe space inside the jail of Udaipur, where people can just completely reconnect with themselves, reignite the power of self-esteem and their life vision. And in that they can learn their skills, whatever their passions and their own being. So that was the really a small effort as a collectively, as Vinay mentioned, we created that, and it actually happened. It was not the plan to creating that. It was very gradually. I will share that journey slowly. So I think before we start that process of the Jail University, I request Vinay to showing the video of Jail University, like how the Jail University does look like on a ground. So
sure, Dikenbhai, I'm just sharing.
And also I'm just sending a link in a chat box, so anyone who likes to go through, they can go through.
क्यों प्यार तू करता एक तरफ कर यारा, एक तरफ कर यारा, एक तरफ कर यारा। मांग कर देख तू मुझसे, दे दूं तुझको सारा, दे दूं तुझको सारा, दे दूं तुझको सारा। हट कर कुछ ऐसा बावले, हट कर कुछ ऐसा बावले, हट कर कुछ ऐसा बावले, मीठा लागे गुड़ 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 गुड़। बोलो कान्यो मान्यो गुल, बोलो कान्यो मान्यो गुल, बोलो कान्यो मान्यो गुल, बोलो कान्यो मान्यो गुल।
एक्चुअली जेल नाम ही एक टेंशन है, बाहर वालों के लिए भी और अंदर वालों के लिए भी, क्योंकि सबसे बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होती है अपना केस डिफाइन करना, उसके बाद अकेलापन और फैमिली की तकलीफें। तो इन सब से जो आदमी स्ट्रेस में आ जाता है यहाँ पर, और स्ट्रेस की वजह से दूसरी प्रॉब्लम्स भी होती हैं।
बेसिक बात यहाँ ये है कि बंदी घुटन आक्रोश कब महसूस करता है, जब वो कोई अपनी बात रखना चाहता है। वो सही है या गलत है वो अलग बात है, पर वो कहना चाहता है कि मैंने अपराध क्यों किया या ये घटना क्यों हुई या इसमें मेरा कितना दोष है, उसको सुनने वाला कोई नहीं है।
सद्गमय तमसो मां ज्योतिर्गमय
जेलें मुख्यतः एक बंद व्यवस्था की तरह इसका प्रयोग किया जा रहा है। अब धीरे धीरे इसमें सुधार आ रहे हैं। वस्तुतः जेलें ओपन होनी चाहिए, खुली होनी चाहिए। जितने बाहर के लोग जेल में आएंगे उतना ही सुधारात्मक प्रक्रिया को गति मिलेगी। जितना हम इसको क्लोज रखेंगे, जितना हम इसको बचा के रखेंगे, उतनी ही समस्याएं यहाँ आकर के आदमी और ज्यादा अपराधी बनेगा।
वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम्, वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम्।
ये लास्ट एक साल से मैं देख रहा हूँ कि यहाँ काफ़ी अच्छी प्रवृत्तियाँ चल रही है। जैसे संगीत का चल रहा है, तो संगीत क्लास में तो हम 7-8 महीने से जाते हैं और वहाँ लोग अच्छी अच्छी चीज़ें सीख रहे हैं। दूसरी चीज़ है, सुबह में योगा चल रहे हैं, तो योगा से सबका स्वास्थ्य पे और मन पे एक अच्छी असर आ रही है। बाकी यहाँ कंप्यूटर चल रहा है और पेंटिंग चल रहा है और जैविक खेती का, तो उसकी वजह से क्या है कि एक हमको गुरुकुल जैसा लग रहा है, जेल जैसा नहीं लग रहा है, कि यहाँ कुछ ना कुछ सीखने को मिल रहा है।
और तुम्हारे हैं, तुम्हारे हैं। वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम्, वसुधैव कुटुम्बकम्।
ज्यादातर हम लोग लेबल में देखते हैं कि इंजीनियर है, डॉक्टर है, अपराधी है, तो उस मोमेंट में सारे लेबल ड्रॉप हो जाते हैं। When you see as a one everything, then you're able to share humanity, and that's really creating lots of possibilities.
और सबसे सुंदर जो गुरुजी ऐसा बोलते कि कोई भी अपराधी जन्म से अपराधी नहीं होता, उसके हालात, उसकी मजबूरियां या कुछ ऐसा समय जो उसे वो करा देता है, वो कोई जन्म से नहीं होता। तो उसमें ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन भी हो सकता है और हमने ऐसे देखे भी।
ये हवा, ये फिजा, ये नजारे, ये समा,
ये हवा, ये फिजा, ये नज़ारे, ये
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Vinay. So this is the jail university look like on the ground. And I think I'm so emotional in this moment for seeing this, all the brothers who've been there, and I'm taking moment for just reconnecting myself, and I invite all of you to take that moment for there. So जैसे हमने नाम दिया है Jail University, and I think jail is a not physical thing. Jail is a state of mind, and jail is collective, the reflection of our collective consciousness, collective actions. So jail is not the jail like which we see in a physical form, but I see there are so many forms of jail, what we created around our mind, so many walls we created around our mind. So I think it's really good opportunity for everyone to reflect, you know, like in what jail we are into. So, and mostly in reflection, we find mostly all of the jails have been created around fear and desires. So the process was to break all these monoculture stereotypes, the walls we created in our mind. And by chance or by design or by system which is imposed, or by narratives which they created. So process, I'm just getting into the process. कि process कैसे start हुआ, jail project कैसे start हुआ. So I think it started with I always share, like so many people, you know, like getting into the spiritual path, you know, and I'm one of them. Like, oh, after my stock market works and crazy, you know, like a career, like I was exploring that part. And lately I know this is, we don't need a medication, but we need some med intentions. So it starts with that med intentions and how that med intention can be. And Gandhi says beautiful about, you know, that like a very beautiful spirit and spirituality and matter, like a work, really needs to be a parallel, like a spirit without a matter, it's a useless, and matter without spirit, it's a burden. So I think it was like a more integration of the spirituality and actions, is like more integration of loving and doing, and it's simply loving. So it started with really, I'm deeply grateful for this a man who is behind this, Shekhawatji, who is the superintendent, you know, like in Udaipur prison. So he has this, has he shared also, like his core heart belief is jail hamesha ek khule vyavastha mein honi chahiye, like it's it needs to be more open. And I'm not getting into that, what are the flaws of the systems and all, we all know very well about it, and I'm honoring the time also. But his vision and idea was there, like this jail can be, you know, like can be a more bigger and more larger and more beautiful things than we think. Normally we thought about jail and they were like, people see like criminals, all negative thoughts, all, you know, like our minds catch on all negativity, like, oh, criminals are there, this messy place, violence, you know, like, and he gave his full heart and his whole intention how that space can be also not that monoculture stereotype, that imagination, but how we can reimagine that space also as a like a more healing space, more artistic space, more like a space for compassion, more space for friendship. And another person I would like to say, Indiraji, she was like amazing, like tirelessly. She's been there since 12, 13 years for just being present. I think more than, you know, she's like more operating like a yoga and offering her gift as a yoga, but I think more than that, she's just being present with the brothers and sisters who are there. So they invited, I think, Manish, and last year, fortunately, I get opportunity in Indian Multiversity Alliance's gathering to meet Manish, and we were talking about this mad intentions, and he invited me like, okay, how about this idea to reimagining this, you know, like a space, or how that what would be your fearless experiments of love, or there's a one thing we can do which allows like a more people coming together on a one place, how we can harness this diversity with the love and relationship, and taking another, you know, like a spiritual journey. And I also play with the words. I say spirituality is the spirit in reality. It's nothing like you sit in a silence and, you know, like how your inner being can, you know, like effortlessly, you know, bring that transformation. And even it's like a transformation is not really the process you can see. It's like a seasons, like even the seasons change. You don't know even, you know, like how it changed. So it was a very gradual process, and for me also it was like a amazing opportunity what I'm speaking, how can I practicing on ground. And my journey started with jail. And first day I went to the prison, and I met, you know, like a Sheikh Havaji, and we had like a small interaction. And he was this idea like, how long you see this jail project? And my answer was like next 5,000 years. And he was like laughing, you know, like, and for me it was a very real answer, you know, like it's, for me it was not project, for me it was a process. It's a lifelong journey, and the form can be different, but the process will be continued, and the thoughts can be, you know, like a continued. And then he asked me one interesting question: why you want to do it, you know, why you came here, what is the driving force? And I was like, really one line answer it came, which is, I have like so much compassion for not being caught up. So मैं बोलता था कि चोर हम सब हैं, बस फर्क इतना है हम पकड़े नहीं गए हैं, वो लोग पकड़े गए हैं. So I think how this, you know, like a society is operating, you know, like there are so many big corporations, you know, so many, you know, giant companies and all, वो सब चोरी कर रहे हैं, मगर हम जो consumption कर रहा है उनको हम बड़ा बनाते हैं, और जो बेचारे छोटे मोटे चोरी कर रहे हैं उनको हम चोर कर रहे हैं, चोर मान रहे हैं और deprive कर रहे हैं. We are taking the life out of them. So I think it's my question for the entire humanity, like what kind of, you know, like age we are moving towards, where we destructing this humanity. So, and I think one thing I feel like one thing we need to be keep alive is sensitivity. With the time we become so numb. जो आज के टाइम में अगर मुझे एक चीज को जिंदा करना होता तो I will say definitely sensitivity. And first day when I went, it's like I met, like I just, and we had no idea, we had not really aesthetic idea of like, oh, we are going to be life-saving, or we are going to transform these people, or we are going to, it was just that intention, we can be just presence with these people, and it's a great opportunity for seeing our own darker side, because they are the reflection, you know, like our collective action. And the intention was not really completing to help them or transform them or creating any university also. Even it was very gradually happened, this university. The core intention was to be connecting with them. And Vinova used to talk about like, jo jahan pe थानाशाही है उसका उल्टा करो, नाताशाही. So I think the best response of this, you know, authoritarian, you know, approach is to relationship. So with that spirit, we started. But when I went there and I was sitting with the few people, and the first one guy who came, like very furious, anger eyes, and just tapped into my shoulder, and he said, मैं यहाँ से भी मर गया हूँ और यहाँ से भी मर गया हूँ, कहाँ से जिंदा करेगा? And I think that is the moment for me to, that was like a heartbroken experience for me. And I think that was the spark for me, like, I want to go more deeper. I want to go more deeper. And I remembering dear brother's Bio's quote, you know, there is no community unless you are not willing to be broken. So I think for my journey started with that, and I'm really grateful for Manish, you know, like constantly questioning and challenging this mainstream education. I'm not getting into this MEC education system, but the whole idea was the creating of like, and on the level of mind, we talk about like mutual respects and designs and forms and all of blah, blah, blah. But I think the core and crux is the trust. So the main process was to creating a field of trust. And to trust someone, it's not really easy process. For that, you need to understand where that person come from, what are the lineage, what are the, you know, like community. And in that way, I think I broke my walls. I think I remembering this Michelangelo, like Angelo there, he's saying, you know, I saw Angel and I set him free. So I don't know, like, what I really, you know, did we collectively did in, you know, like a jail university, but it allowed us to set free of our own stereotype and mono culture thoughts. So for simple thought, I can say, like, I had this problem with this people who did a rape, and I was like feeling so frustrated and so angry on them, like, oh, why, how one person can, you know, like do that. And in reflection, I was like, same time I was seeing myself also, know how many rape I did, like not really physical way, but in my mind, you know, like how many times I have this kind of thoughts, you know, like and then I slowly connected and creating the field of relationship. And then I understood, like, they were the victim of their own actions, you know, someone did once they were a child. So I think my whole, you know, like the mind process is like really shifted, and that allowed me to creating a more, that allowed me to break my all walls around, you know, like I say like this, these masters are our friends, and I talk about one of the master, Rumi, and he says like, there is a door to reach someone's heart, but what is the use of the door if there is no wall around. So I think if you are breaking your own walls, we don't need a door even to reach someone's heart. So I think it was so easy for me to breaking my wall. So the more work has been done for like creating a relationship. It was not really, like prepared, like design idea or something like a mainstream education is like a more like creating curriculum and impose them and allowing them to like shift into that. And we have a completely different approach. Like through relationship, we were creating more, like a field of learning. And it was very effortlessly sahaj happen. It was not really, like happen like a more pushing way. So time to time, few friends, like a volunteer keep visiting, and they were like, like sharing their own gift with our brothers. And for example, it started with the painting. Their brother, Amit, who came with this, his own gift. It's the idea to share his own gift of the art. And he created this field of, like a art workshop. And then murals happen. We found amazing talent, like in that process. And more than 50 murals has been, like made by different various our brothers inside, like I call inmate. So inmate is I and mate, I say, like. So it's like our brothers are always, like so enthusiastic. And I think more that was like creating a field. I naively, and I'm so grateful, like Shekhawatji, Indiraji, Manish, all they naively believe that we don't have to do anything. We just need to creating a field of that safe space, and everyone knows how to grow. So we collectively did, like creating a space and safe space. So just before, like I think I'm over time.
Is
but,
this the case
I'm
connection?
just, hello. Hello.
Yeah, Diken bhai, can you?
Yes.
The Ken?
Can hear you.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, so you can share. Not that many questions haven't come up yet.
Okay,
So,
I just finish in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes, and then we can be, like a more,
Interact.
like interact. And I think I just want to just express my gratitude towards, like, sometimes it's like we, Manish, Shekhawatji, all are very visible faces we can identify, but I really deeply, bringing those faces, and I'm deeply grateful for invisible faces. For example, Vidhi, every morning, whenever I travel to Udaipur and go there for Jail University, every morning she was preparing, breakfast with so much love, when I returned, like she was like preparing the chai or something. So these are like really, really amazing invisible contributions, and so many people, like so many noble friends, who are supporting with their ideas, and keeping, like this intentions for humanity, and constantly serving where they are with their own capacity. So I think I just closing with a deep sense of gratitude to each of them. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So thank you, Diken bhai. So I think firstly, I observed that we have a limited participation, which is nice. उसकी वजह से हम we can make it more intimate and more personal sharings.
Yeah.
Yes. So there is one question which has come up from Ashish, I believe, which is he's asking, what kind of hurdles did you face? Any hostility from inmates or jailers other than the superintendent, interpersonal dynamics amongst the inmates and others?
Okay, so
yeah, and before that, actually, I also wanted to put forward, which Suhas Tai brought forward another point, which was she said, ki, is it offensive to use the term inmates? Is it a little insensible? So she wanted to reflect on if we can think of some other term, or if she would like to clarify this point.
That's what I say, like I call this inmate as I and mate, you know, like it's a more, it's not really, I call this inmate, like I, very playful, that's, I call always them brother, you know, and one of the things which started, you know, like they were having like a, you know, like a call each other as a bandi, you know, like a bandi, ye bandi, and the first things we brought the change is the bandi to bandhu. So you know, like that was a very small change, you know, like in that process came. So inmate is not really inmate, it's like an I and mate, so which is close to their own journey and the learning process. So now we have almost like a, yeah, I can share, yeah, more about that. Yeah, so what was I can just responding the question of Ashish Bhai.
Okay.
Yes. So first, like, what are the challenges on the ground and how this, you know, people approach their part of the superintendent. So the most challenge in the jail are like one of the things is they don't have like a really nice hygiene conditions around there. So they are mostly depressed because they are sharing, you know, like a more space, and they don't have a time to reflect. Their mostly energies are getting through into the like channelized into the, like they find their cases, and for the lawyers, I'm sorry for this, for them it's for lawyers, they are the biggest this commodity, because if they will win the case, you know, they will, you know, like more lose the money, you know, and also there are like they have like more thoughts about their like the family problems. The people are like banishing them, so they are mostly in kind of this kind of circle inside there, and system has also lots of flaws, you know, like there are, like, we know the limitation of our jail system. So of course, you know, like in these cases, we were like very conscious about the power dynamics. When you're honoring the power of each other's, it would be easy transitions. So this all university like is really happening very gradually. Like it's not really happen, you know, in a way of like we plan something and we impose something. It was like very like people were interested them, so we were like easily to narrate or easily to curate that, like, oh, we have this many of people and we really propose them on a, and it's all based is more relationship. So it's not really we created it's a, we have a other approach, like normally we create reliability and then relationship. Here we create a relationship and then it's a like a reliability. So with all of the people and sometimes like all of the jailers and staff and all, they were like really cooperative because of the relationship. And when you are like working in this kind of adverse circumstances, people not doubting your intentions. Like when they are like, I always say is like, हिंदुस्तान जो है वो आंखों का देश है, जब तक लोग देखते नहीं है तब तक बिलीव नहीं करते हैं. तो I think once they start seeing slowly, gradually, like the changes, like very visible changes, they start cooperating with them. So we were never disrupting their powers and their any kind of, you know, like a structure. But in some cases we were disrupted. I disrupted a few cases. For example, like in Jail University, the first breakthrough happened when me and Manish was met like one of the guy who was like cutting the hair, you know, in front of the stairs. And that was the biggest breakthrough happen. And very we connected, like, and we were very effortlessly trying, you know, to ask like, what is your own passion? What is your own, you know, create like a gift, you know, like what you like to share with others. And he said like, oh, my dream is to, you know, creating a saloon inside the jail. And we were like, you know, like it was a crazy idea in the beginning, like okay, like how can we create a saloon? It was a big question, you know, like to getting the scissors and this kind of you know, tools and equipment. And next morning I went to jailer, and jailer says no, like it's impossible because it can be a tool of violence. And in jail, certain kind of violence are very, very common because of the frustration, you know, because the root cause of the violence are something different, and it can be happen time to time. And I was just sharing very aggressive way to that jailer that, you know, everyday violences happen. रोज यहाँ पे खून खराबा हो रहा है, आप ये नहीं करने देने चाह रहे हो क्योंकि आप आलसी हो, because you are not taking these responsibilities. And under your, you know, surveillance or under your guidelines, it can be possible. And after one day he was very happy, like, okay, you just come. And me and Manish went to like buying all this stuff and everything. So this kind of challenges are there. People like really sometimes getting into the very low phase. Like for example, we have one of the professor, you know, like who came with this postcode, and we encourage him, you know, so many times, like to teach English, because so many inmates, brothers who wants to, you know, like learn English. And somehow he was in a different mode, and then, you know, like he started classes and suddenly stopped. So many times it happened, like people getting into this very depressive, you know, kind of mode, and they low phases. So that's what we keep trying, you know, to encouraging them. And as a result, now we have like more than 100, you know, brothers who are engaged with the different, you know, like a kind of activities like artwork and music and, you know, like so many things. So these are like mostly briefly challenges out there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it was lovely to hear that, Diken. Actually, I was also remembering my time when I was there inside the jail. I had visited Shikshantar and I got an opportunity. This was first in my life. I went inside, and you know, like coming from that traditional mindset, I had certain already prejudices about how it will be inside. yeah, based on the stories and the movies that they tell us. And when I went inside, I was awed. I was awestruck by 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 the diversity of the people that were there, and like also, you know, like being, so I was there when Amit and these people were drawing murals, and like I was very amazed by, you know, how these people were empowered themselves, like the way they were drawing, that they were taking responsibility. Yeah, it was phenomenal. And after that, I had another experience to stay with one person who was there in the jail for almost 2 weeks, and Vishal, and that was also a great, I mean, I'll share about it maybe sometime.
Yeah,
So there's a second question, which
yes.
is, I think, again, by, I think, will be close to your heart. I know that you, in conversations, you bring out the vulnerability, and being authentic is what you aspire for always. So I think one question from Arun Vakluji is, how have you grown again because of this engagement?
How I
How have
grown?
you grown because of this engagement?
Ah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's a really reflecting questions, you know, like I have to sit in a reflection for a while, but I think one thing I can say, like I grown in a relationship. I think first is the relationship with Manish, you know, like one thing, it's like a really, you know, like that friendship getting more deeper and deeper. So I think these are jails are like seeds, or like wherever the planted, you know, like these thoughts or these things, and I getting the all fruits of it. And in that process, for me, every week I have to go to university, travel to Udaipur, and that is like becoming for me is a pilgrimage. It's like a completely spiritual journey for me. It's not really like a kind of a growth happen. My all walls has been broken, as you Vinay mentioned. You know, like there are so many, and I shared like jail is not physical thing. It's like the walls we created around, you know, our mind. And other thing is I found, and I naively believe now that the limitations of the mainstream education system. I think so many people, you know, like feels like illiterate because of this mainstream education system, because they don't have this certificate, and they have amazing talent, you know, like especially the power of art and community. Especially I can grow in that, like especially the musician what we have, and with their passion, you know, the whole jail universities has been co-created. You know, like our few inmates we have, few brothers we have, like we have only 2-3 brothers who have this so-called higher educations like CA and, you know, kind of master degrees. But I think when I saw the child, you know, being a like a the curiosity of child in their eyes, like while they were like learning something like music or connecting or reconnecting with their passions. So I think what I'm grow inside that, I'm still growing. I'm not saying I'm grown. I'm still in that process of growing, but my lens of the seeing has been changed. I think that was really, I can see my internal growth, and I can see more love and light, you know, because it's always there. It needs to be more visible, you know. So
Thank you, Diken. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I was very touched by what you shared. Your authenticity and your sincerity was touching. Thank you. There's one more question I have, but only if there's time. So
yes.
Less
Yes,
time.
please go ahead.
Okay, so Diken, what you have shared is beautiful. I mean, this whole experiment was really beautiful. I see a lot of implications for this on sustainable livelihood. So even outside the jail environment, if we can create a similar ecosystems, similar environment of safety and compassion and love and acceptance, what would it do for sustainable livelihoods? I'd love to hear you and anyone else, and Ashish or anyone, to share on that.
Yeah, that's, thank you, Arun. And honestly, we don't have such a answer. I don't have any such particular answer for like what we can do for sustainability of like especially livelihood, but at least I have that deeper faith, you know, with this inspiration or, you know, self-esteem, they are enough confident, you know, for facing outside, because they are now not really. I was talking in morning, I was talking with, you know, like one of the inmate, and I was saying like, you know, like how this jail university touched or effect on your life, you know, what things getting better, or what you, how you see this jail university for you. And his honest reflection was there, like we were very depressed, and I think, you know, we get the hope that, you know, like that new possibilities is alive. And I think, you know, he learned like we have this organic farming, you know, I didn't share like all project way, like I don't want to make this, you know, like NGO ways, like we doing this or we doing that. I think, you know, but there is some organic farmings are there. And what he learned, you know, like he didn't remember everything, but whatever little bit parts of things he learned, he's implementing, or, you know, like practicing in his own town. And
right.
And also few that, for example, we met, you know, like Vinay met Vishal. So we help him to connect with few friends. The biggest opportunity is to, like, in today's time, it's not for inmates only. I say the today's time, the most crisis is the crisis of trust. We are not able to trusting each other. So I think, you know, like what we trying to connect them with few friends, we can just reconnect with the trust, so they can
Very
have
nice.
like another
Very
chance.
Very
So
nice.
that
Thank
is-
you. Thank you, Diken. And that opens up a whole lot of possibilities and opportunities.
Arunji and Diken, if I can add in this.
Yeah, sure, please.
जो दिकेन बोल रहे हैं about relationships, I think this goes across every section of communities that we all work with. और ये आप एक बार ये relationship बना लेंगे, which is trust based, then every task at hand as a community becomes much simpler. और हाँ, तो ये मेरा अनुभव है working with the crafts people. You did not just go to them to get them to produce something. You went there also with the idea of learning from them and exchanging with them what their skills are and what your skills are.
Right.
That relationship goes a much longer way. कि आज वो कुछ हमारे दोस्त भी बन जाते हैं जिनसे हम भी अपनी लाइफ के बारे में समझते हैं, और जो वो लाइवलीहुड या एक प्रोफेशन या टेकिंग केयर ऑफ वन सेल्फ फ्रॉम अ इकोनॉमिक पर्सपेक्टिव और इकोनॉमिक प्रैक्टिस पर्सपेक्टिव, वो उसके माध्यम में आ जाता है.
Very nice.
But that is what Diken has said is like a life lesson for everybody. It's not just for a certain section of people. If you treat people humanly, work just gets done. So it's as simple as that.
Absolutely. And a lot of compassion, lot of caring, and lot of humility. Humility. ये नहीं कि मैं आपके लिए कुछ करने आया हूँ, नहीं. I am grateful that you're giving me an opportunity to befriend you and to serve you and to be with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that humility has, because otherwise you can't build trust. They'll always view you with suspicion.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank
Hi.
you, Tuhi.
1 minute. I just
Hi.
finished
Oh,
this.
so sorry.
1 minute only. Just Arun, I think it's a very beautiful quote by Jesus. When you need nothing, then you trust everything. So when you operating, you know, your Manish, I love Manish, you know, he like to talk about decolonize your own heart. But I think, you know, this is very simple quote, you know, like, and when you're operating from that lens, out of need nothing, not even that, you know, like a smallest longing, I want to change. That is also desire. I want to bring change.
Beautiful.
So then you trust everything. So thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Diken.
Yes.
Thanks.
Yes, Urmika.
Hi, so I'm Urmika from Chennai. I just wanted to give like a short context, which is that I'm working on my MA thesis, which is about like trying to understand offender identity. So I mean, I found the talk really insightful for me and for my work. So you talked about how like when you first entered the, I'm sorry, I'm talking to Diken right now. So when you first entered the prison, you felt you know, like initially you had certain feelings about the inmates, and you know about the crimes they've committed, but then eventually it almost felt like you were holding up like a mirror, like they were a reflection of, say, the darker side of the society or yourself in some cases. So this is something that we see a lot in people all over the world. When someone is identified or labeled as a criminal, nothing else about them matters beyond that label, right? And there's this like othering that takes place. They have to be different from us, like we and them, you know, that sort of thing. So I feel that, yeah, it's very important to sort of deconstruct and like, you know, take out this process of othering in order to be able to connect with them, to develop, like to create a field of trust. But how do we do this in a way that can be implemented in rehabilitation programs, you know, in a more general way? That's something I wanted to ask you.
Honestly, I say like we can work on a 3 layers. One is personal practice. One is, you know, like a platform. And the third is project. So I think what really matters is your own personal practices. Like when you are like operating any process as your own personal practices, like which is really my personal practices, like whatever. In beginning it was like more like a hesitation also there, you know, as you talk about like they are feeling you are outsider. So that is also wall. To breaking that outsider, you have to be one. And for that, you know, like I was doing small things, like I was having a chai or having a lunch or dinner with them. So when you are really, really connecting more personally and you see your as a personal practice, then, you know, like this rehabilitation happened very sahaj. Otherwise, you know, you become into the jail, like you get stuck into this, you know, like, and I say like my life is, I'm here to enjoy my life. I don't want to be, you know, like my purpose for humanity is not to saving humanity or saving world. What I can do is like to serve, you know, and I think in Spanish they call service to way of being, you know. So you just completely being present with your own authenticity, your own being, and that rehabilitation happen very, you know, subtle way. It's like a process of changing the seasons. Even you don't know it happening, you know, like it changed. So it's not really we can implementing or we can work for the rehabilitation. And when you're creating platforms, it's like in today's time, like as an individual, I'm nothing. You know, if I see or think like, okay, I can do this, I have this so much love and compassion and all these tools and designs and mind and all this, I'm nothing, you know, like who, like I say, like who cares if you go on a train station, who is Urmika, who is Vinay, or who is Diken, you know, like in that race, we all are, you know, same. So I think no one wants to be part of your imagination. So when you're creating, you know, everyone has their own imagination. So when you are nurturing their imagination or their own self, they're becoming more like involved in that process. And the more like any complexity, challenge of any complexity is only diversity. So when you're creating the field of harnessing the diversity on one place, rehabilitation will very sahaj happen. So that's more my understanding. Maybe the truth can be so different, but I'm just responding with my limited understanding. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Oh.
Okay, so actually, I think Dikenbhai, you kind of gave a hint about this, but about the next question. But if you'd like to add anything else, you can add. So the question is by Juhi. Can this model be replicated in other jails across the country? If yes, what would be the basic requirement?
Oh my God. So, Juhi, this is the question of so many people, you know, like, and it's a this is my favorite question too, you know, like, and it's I based on a Gandhi Ashram right now, you know, like, and it's amazing opportunity to be here, you know, like dear brother Jayesh Bhai and the lineage and Gandhi. So all, you know, like constantly, you know, like giving themselves for, you know, betterment of humanity. And we are doing lots of experiments around, you know, gift culture, like the Seva Cafe, and, you know, we have this Ahmedabad no Riksha Walo, and so other thing, you know. So it's very beautiful. Like we have one, you know, like a businessman. We have like a Ahmedabad no Riksha Walo who run this, you know, rickshaw on the spirit of gift economy. Like there is a no bill for that rickshaw. And one of the businessmen who came with this idea, like, oh, why this is only one, you know, like rickshaw, you know, like why this is one auto man who running on this kind of things. I am open to donating. How about we have 100 rickshaw, you know? How about we can run 100 rickshaw on the Ahmedabad on the same gift culture economy? And I think I was there, and Jayesh, my very dear brother, who responded so beautifully. Like he said, like, you will give the fund for 100 rickshaw, but how will I created 100 Uda? So how can I created this 100 spirit, you know? So this all projects, you know, are all possibilities. I think it's easy to replicate if the Shekhawat ji is there, you know, like this kind of openness of superintendent is there, you know, this kind of, you know, spirits are there. So I remembering, you know, like this quote of Vinoba, like वो बोलते थे कि जो हिंदुस्तान की आध्यात्मिक परंपरा रही है उसका गांधी जी फल है और आने वाली पीढ़ी के लिए गांधी जी उसका बीज है. So I think, you know, like तत्व को हम पकड़ सकते हैं, possibilities को हम पकड़ सकते हैं, tantra can be, you know, in a different form, organization forms and design can be different. So definitely we can, you know, these ideas can be replicated in form of the values, not in form of the same design form. So I hope we can make this kind of, you know, more experiments. So this is our playground. Yeah. So this is beautiful question, Joey.
Dikenbhai, if we have some time, if there are any questions, I think Shrishti has a question for you. Should you ask the
Sure. So the question is, are you also
Shrishti?
working with female inmates?
Yeah, we started with the female inmate, you know, like we started work for a few months, and I think there are 50 females are there, and um, we unfortunately we stopped after a few times. Like it was a different need, you know, like uh, in that time. So we work for with the female inmates, and if you like to know particular things about that, then I can respond, you know, like what I experience or what I observe there. But I think we did some few period of time that work.
Yeah, I asked that question because in the video there weren't any female inmates. So I was wondering whether you have not started working with them, or there's a particular reason why they're not there, and if you felt any difference as what you're saying now of their needs and how it is to work with them. So was just out of curiosity on that.
Okay, so Srishti, honestly, like as a man, we had a limited, like we have a like we don't have this kind of barrier, but woman has this barrier, you know, because they are coming from the different villages, and they are like they have this own like mental barriers. I don't know where it came from. It's a good question to hold also, why the women were having this kind of, you know, barrier too. But we didn't find such a great anchor, because, you know, like to creating a safe space inside, we need an anchor, and it would be more easier if some women can be anchoring that space. And time to time, few of friends even really uh, effort, you know, or really give themselves for time very generously. But unfortunately, like, and some of the things in beginning, it was evolved also, like in so many ways. Like it was like they were like doing art, they were like making things, we were making beautiful hearts inside them, you know, like there are so many things happen. But the origin idea of this jail university was like not to creating any project, but to creating a space for inmates and learning and sharing the gifts with each other. And in women's, you know, cells, it turning out into the grades. And we like they were like more focusing on the orders and, you know, like commodities and sustainabilities and livelihood. And honestly, we don't have this bandwidth, you know, to creating a chain or creating a kind of, you know, economical, you know, sustenance for that. And we didn't have like a solid anchor for it, you know, who can channelize, because it's like a very full-time work. Like it's not really to connect and to spending time. So few, like from Navgurukul, like few girls tried, you know, like few students tried to connect, but I'm openly says like somehow we not prioritize that work also, because it was very, you know, like a less woman, and not any solid anchors are there. But still, like this time to time, me and Manish keep going, we'll keep connecting, and we had amazing relationship, you know, for created. And few volunteers did some murals also inside the women's cells also. So anyone who is interested, they are most welcome, you know, for this journey also. Like if someone can anchoring that space.
Lovely. Actually, Diken bhai, we have a few people here from Bhuj, Kutch, including Gatit Leru, who is the director of Khamir. And I also had the opportunity of working with Khamir a few years ago. And they did a very beautiful project with the local jail there. So somehow I thought today, because we have some time and we are a small group, it would be nice to get Ghatit to also tell us about their jail project and, you know, how they worked with it, because they specifically work in the craft space, but then to bring jail inmates to also work with them was very interesting. Ghatit, thanks for coming and
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
thanks
Actually,
for
the person who connected us to jail, Mr. Jai Anjaria, he is also here.
Oh yes, Jay is also there. Yeah, yeah.
I think Jai should also open his camera.
Hi, Jay.
And as Dickens said that it happened due to the jailer, here it's also happened due to a jailer. His name was Mr. Veerbhadra Singh Gohil. He studied in Saurashtra in a very progressive Gandhian institution in Vārtā. And he was very keen that there should be many more activities in the jail, and which included the weaving. And Hamir is running a project on recycled plastic weaving. So he visited us and he saw this activity over here, which we replicated in the jail. And actually we have to choose the jail inmates. So I said that they must be the longest serving, because एक दो साल में सीख के चला जाए ऐसा नहीं चाहिए. So they said वो 5-6 साल की जिसको लंबी सजा हुई है ऐसे inmates होने चाहिए. And he was that guy. He was very entrepreneurial, the jailer. So हमने तो सिर्फ weaving शुरू किया था. He added the stitching also, because he found one prisoner who was an expert tailor. So he said आपको बाहर skilled लोग नहीं मिलेंगे, हमारे यहाँ पे we have all the skilled people. And एक बार हम गए थे तो there was some bank manager जो लांच लेते हुए पकड़ा गया था day before. So he said, look, this jail that manager is here. So he said हमारे पास हर type के लोग हैं, हर एक skill है. So, and he was doing a lot of activity at that time, and he's transferred now to another jail in Saurashtra, but he's still an inspiration, and that unit is still running very well. We recently received an opportunity from Sabarmati Jail, because he told somebody in Sabarmati Jail that there is a possibility of running such unit. And Sabarmati Jail in central Ahmedabad has many of such activities going on. They have a bakery unit, they have an entire power loom weaving unit where you have 60-70 power looms installed in the jail, and they are making the fabric for all the government offices in Gujarat. All this government office जिनको अपना कपड़ा चाहिए अपने old records को बचाने के लिए और उसका संग्रह करने के लिए, that is being done in Sabarmati Jail. So, but due to COVID, ये सब अभी it's almost stopped, and we couldn't extend it to Sabarmati Jail. But there are a lot of such possibilities, provided the person who is heading the premise should have that vision. And हम तो हमारा कोई रिफॉर्म का या ऐसा आइडिया नहीं था, हम तो उनके रिफॉर्म के प्रोसेस में जुड़े थे ऐसा. जय भाई, आपको कुछ ऐड करना है? I think
seems to be somewhere else. Thank you so much, Ghatit. Okay. Actually, any last questions from anybody? Ashish, do you want to add on to the dialogue?
No, I was just thinking that if there are a number of these sorts of experiences, Ghatit bhai ne abhi jo bataya, Dikin ne jo bataya, and I'm sure there are more. In Pune jail also, for instance, there is Ecoexist is doing some interesting work.
Oh, okay.
On recycling and making things out of flowers that are used in the Ganesh festival and so on.
Wow.
So, given that there are, I was wondering, and also so that it's not completely dependent on the attitude of the jail superintendent or jailer, I was wondering whether there could actually be advocacy for a general set of guidelines for jails all across India. It might help with a few more where, people get guidance on the kind of activities that can happen, both in terms of the hardware and also, and this relates also to, I think, Arun Bhai's earlier question, the software, which is what Deacon is. I'm sorry, I'm using IT terms here, but what Deacon is really emphasizing. No, it's the connections, the relationships, the self-esteem, the confidence, all of that, and enabling internal creativity and innovation to come out. So that's a little hard to put into guidelines, but nevertheless, one can say what kind of environments can be created in jail so that this kind of thing is more possible. So anyway, that was just an observation or a question. Maybe somebody's already doing it. I don't know.
Maybe we should think of a jail sangam.
Yeah, why not? That can be a good idea.
The starting point for the advocacy.
इसके लिए हमको जेल में जाना पड़ेगा ऐसे।
बहुत बार गए हैं घटित भाई, कहीं कहीं जैसे भाई ने बोला हम अपने ही खुद ही के जेल में भी रह रहे हैं, तो समझ तो सबको है जेल की। Wow, okay, so Vinay, any further questions, last thoughts?
I'm just waiting. We are a close, small group of people, so everyone can, if they would like, they can switch on their videos.
Yeah,
they can ask, comment,
thoughts, yeah,
put forward any point.
Yep.
Most welcome.
Yeah, please, सब अपना कैमरा ऑन कर सकते हैं. कोई लास्ट क्वेश्चंस हैं, रिफ्लेक्शन है, कुछ आपको शेयर करना है? हम लोग एक छोटा ग्रुप है, आज बात कर सकते हैं. नहीं? ठीक है. So I think then we should just wrap up and say thank you so much, Vikalp bhai. It's amazing the work that you guys are doing, and yeah, it was very touching as well, the way you were explaining your journey and the work that was put together. So more power to you. You'll find a lot of volunteers in us if you need any. Do shout out.
Yes, why not?
Yeah.
Always welcome. Yeah.
Yes.
Always,
So,
even in Ahmedabad also, like always there is a home place, jail, Ahmedabad. I'm all there.
thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining us, and stay in touch.